Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 2, Episode 1 through 3. So stop right now if you have not watched all three episodes so far of Season 2. There will be very many spoilers. This is all going to be spoilers, so don't watch if you haven't watched the 3 episodes yet. I have a whole list of kind of like my favorite things that I wanted to touch on and talk about in this video. Some of my favorite things. Some of it won't be like a long, story that I want to talk about, but some of them will that I like. Oh, okay, let's just get right into it because I'm so excited. But you guys be sure, don't put book spoilers in the comments because I don't want to see, like, I haven't read the books yet and I'm planning on buying them. I have a few trips coming up, and so I have to read the books when I get back home. So please don't put the book spoilers in the comments. No spoilers, no spoilers, no spoilers in the comments, you guys. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, starting off simple. When Conrad said, "You have the prettiest smile," to Belly, that was so cute. We're like thinking, oh, this is so cute. It's so happy, Conrad and Belly together. Wow. Okay. But it was just so cute. I loved it so much. Let me know in the comments if you're team Jeremiah or Conrad. I think you can already tell that I am team Conrad. I love Conrad so much, even after this season, which we will get to that part. And then next is Susanna knew as soon as Belly and Conrad walked in, and like when they were kind of holding hands, like Susanna knew right away. I mean, one, she's just a mom, but like they were so obvious about it too. And Belly's little giggle when she was like, it was so cute. I loved that part. And for sure, like right there, I was thinking like Susanna has always wanted them together. And I think she was so happy in that moment seeing them together because I think that's all she's ever wanted. And it's just so sweet. And the next, Steven's gift from Susanna, that was so sad, but it's so like Beck to just have everything planned. But oh my gosh, it was so sad seeing that part. Oh gosh, it was just so sad. And her obviously not being there to see all of that and her having that planned out, and then they all just immediately got so sad. It was so sad. And then I just wanted to say it was so cute and sweet when Conrad said, "No matter what happens, we're infinite." Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? I loved that part so much. It was so cute and so sweet. And then also, when Susanna said, "You'll find the way back to each other eventually," she knows, she just knows. And just like her, even when she's gone, she knows. She's planned everything even after she's gone, and she knows they're gonna get back together. It was so cute. Oh my gosh. And then Steven trying to get Taylor's attention at the party, he takes his shirt off and then flies into what was supposed to be the crowd and then lands on or knocks Belly down. Obviously not the part knocking Belly down was funny, but like him trying to get Taylor's attention, like, could you be any more obvious, Steven? Jeez. Oh my gosh. And then it was so cute, Conrad and Belly's kiss, like when he got to her house and he was like, "Oh, like it's so hard to not just kiss you right now." And then she just jumps into him and they kiss. Oh my gosh, I loved that part so much. It was so sweet and so cute. I love that scene so very much. And then when Jer picked up the phone to Belly, and I think like that part, he only picked up because he was thinking maybe Belly and Conrad were together. So I think that's the only reason he picked up. But I'm glad he did because we'll get to that part in a minute. But definitely that was the only reason he picked up, right? And then I really did love that Belly chose to go with Jeremiah to go find Conrad. I liked that it started leading up to all of them being together again, and that was really fun. And then you guys, Belly sneaking out with Conrad. At first, how they played that, I thought she was sneaking out to go with Jeremiah to find Conrad. And then it switched to her sneaking out and getting into Conrad's car. Oh my gosh, I loved that part so much. I'm like, yes, go sneak out. Usually I would never say that, but go sneak out with Conrad. I don't condone that normally, but when it comes to Conrad, I'd sneak out for him too. And then I really loved how Steven just did figure everything out at the bookstore with like Taylor and Belly. Like Belly, obviously, he knew something was up. And then when he texts Belly and she texts back, like, you know, watching Titanic or whatever, right after Taylor walks out of the bookstore saying she was at Auntie Anne's. That was so funny. I loved that part, and I loved how Steven, like, he knew, like, pretty immediately. And then the part when Jer broke down to Belly was really sad. And although I'm not team Jeremiah, that part, I did love that part, and I did feel really bad for him. It was really sad, him just breaking down to Belly. And then, can I just say... it's not really like, you know, a big plot or anything. This is just really random, but can we just talk about like Conrad's back? His back is so attractive. We'll just leave it there. And then I've loved so many parts already. I've said like love 50 times. Can you count how many times I've said it already? But when Belly is making the hot cocoa, that scene, and Conrad just keeps looking at her like every second, and I'm like, oh my gosh, stop, you're making me get nervous. Like, I was getting butterflies, I was getting hot and blushy. I'm like, just stop, you're making me nervous. You're literally making, I'm getting like red right now thinking about it. That was Then it really annoyed me when Conrad wasn't looking at Belly the whole time when Jeremiah and Belly first got back to the beach house. That was aggravating me. I'm like, just look at her. But then even though he wasn't looking at her, he was still telling her how he felt. And I'm like, yeah, like you love her, and you know that he trusts her and vice versa. So I'm like, just look at her, as well as continue talking about how you feel, but just look at her, Conrad. And then he finally did look at her, kind of right before she walked away for like 2 seconds. I also did really like that Jeremiah thanked Belly for coming in that whole scene, like in his bedroom. Although I'm not team Jeremiah, but it was very sweet. But just leave it at that. Just keep it sweet, just keep it simple. And then just leave it at that. Then just stop, Jeremiah. Just no more than just, you know, sweet and simple. Just no more. I also like when Belly was in the pool and Conrad was all of a sudden just sitting there, when she was just kind of floating, like her head was floating above the water. It was such like flashbacks to season 1 when, you know, when he's out there smoking and what do you give me if I do that part was so much like season 1, and I literally loved that part that he finally was looking at her, asking, you know, do you still pretend if you're in the Olympics? I loved that part. And then all of a sudden when she dipped back down and came back up and then he was just gone, I'm like, I kind of felt bad for her there, but I loved that, you know, he slowly started, you know, talking to her. But I'm kind of confused as to, I guess it was just to maybe make things less awkward for a second and, you know, try slowly starting to talk to her again is kind of how I took it. But I kind of wish he stayed out there for another minute. But I guess, you know, one step at a time, right? Also, after Conrad left and then Jeremiah and Belly were in the kitchen and she got in the pantry and threw the hot cocoa away, I'm like, no, because that scene was so cute with you making the hot cocoa. But I also understand, but I'm like, just keep the hot cocoa for the memories. Also, I loved the part when Steven called Taylor and, you know, was telling her, oh, I'm gonna go to cousins and everything, and then she's like, oh, I'm coming too, blah, blah, blah. That was 100% his plan. He knew that she was going to come to cousins with him. He knew. That was his plan. That's why he called her, because why else would he call her? That was his plan all along. And I'm kind of rooting for them, you guys. Which, again, we will get to that part in a minute. You guys, and then at the prom, Belly 100% knew, immediately knew when Conrad said, like, do you want to go somewhere, just you and me, so we can talk? Like, really? Really, Conrad? She 100% immediately knew, and it was so sad, because then she's like, no, like, let's stay here for a bit, just because she knew. Oh, it was so sad. And then when Belly took her necklace off, her infinity necklace off, oh, that was so sad. And then even, I'm pretty sure, like, Conrad even got sad. I guarantee he was so sad, because I feel like you could see it on his face, you could hear it in his voice. He was so sad when she took it off, when he was like, no, no. Oh, that part was so sad. And, like, I mean, obviously I feel bad for both of them, but I really feel bad for Conrad, because how he had said to not take it off no matter what happens. That's what makes me sad, because they both agreed to that, and then she took it off. Okay, just a few more, you guys. I think maybe 5 to 7 more. So let's kind of whip through these. Milo, Taylor's knockoff MGK wannabe boyfriend. I don't like him, first of all, but when she was texting him in the car, like when Taylor and Steven were together in the car, and she was texting Milo, like, he's so annoying, and 100% is just using Taylor. How he's like, oh, like, you know, I need you too, babe, blah, blah, blah. Shut up. Like, he's such a user. He's just using her. And, like, I was glad to see Taylor getting mad at that, because I'm like, yeah, just dump him. So there's my take on Milo. I don't like him. And then kind of back to me rooting for Taylor and Steven is, like, the car scene when they're at the gas station and they're talking. I really liked that part when Taylor and Steven were just talking to each other. I think it was really nice. I think it was a nice conversation, and that part is the part that I kind of was like, okay, I kind of like Steven and Taylor together. So that's the part that kind of made, or just did make me start to root for them. I loved that part with them so much. And then, you guys, Conrad and Jeremiah's dad annoys me so bad. When they were on the phone with their dad trying to convince him to, you know, keep and buy the house, and he was just so poopy on the phone. I was so angry at that part. I was so angry at him. I'm like, I just don't like you. You're a poop head. You're a cheater. You're a poop head. You're a bad dad. I just don't like you. Let them have the house. That's what they want right now. It's their decision. They're old enough. They know what they're doing. Calm down, Danielle. It's making me angry again, you guys. It was just so annoying, you guys. Tell me if you guys got so annoyed with that part too, because I just wanted to punch him. Okay, I think 3 more, but you guys, the wake part was so rough when she walked into Conrad on Aubrey, whatever her name is, Aubrey, Audrey, whatever, who cares? Aubrey, I think, though. Oh, that, and then, you know, she starts running downstairs, he runs after her. That whole scene, it was so rough. Oh my gosh. But even with Conrad, he was so, he was just poopy. He was just poopy there. But even though he was poopy, I still love Conrad so much and am still 100% Team Conrad, even though he was just like, Conrad, you just stop. But then it also annoyed me, like, okay, well, obviously with Conrad, like, you know, oh, like, you know, it was a mistake, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Conrad, stop. It was so frustrating, and so hurtful. And poor Belly, I felt so bad for Belly, but then like obviously Conrad's going through crazy stuff right now, but you don't have to be so mean to Belly. But then when Belly fell and everyone just looked at her, I think everyone thought that she was making a scene, but like obviously she was so sad. And then it annoyed me a lot with when Laurel just looked at her when Belly got like stood back up, and Laurel just like stood there and stared like well, like I don't know, like I'm trying to think like what was Laurel thinking? I don't know. What was she thinking, and why did she just stare? And then Conrad trying to help Belly up like after she just fell, like just go away for a few minutes. Like don't go away forever, but just for a few minutes. All right, last two things, you guys. So the first thing is Conrad and Jer talking about messing everything up for the open house. I am rooting for that. I'm so excited. Yes, mess it all up. I'm so excited to see that part, that episode. I want to know what they're gonna do and what they're gonna say. I'm so excited. I'm rooting for it. I want them to mess everything up and just be crazy boys, and just, yeah, I'm ready for them to just mess it all up. All right, you guys, last thing is I love this part so much when Belly or Conrad asks like what movie, or whoever asks what movie, and then, you know, Belly says whatever movie, and then Conrad puts the movie in and then kind of like looks over at Belly, and then Belly looks back at him and then kind of smiles, and then Jeremiah looks over at Belly and kind of like I was confused because I'm like, what is Jeremiah thinking there? I feel like even though, you know, it's been kind of back and forth, obviously he knows that Belly and Conrad love each other. Belly like full on just loves Conrad. I think Conrad loves Belly too, but so I think that's what I'm kind of thinking he was feeling, is, you know, maybe actually happy that they're kind of looking at each other, since he knows something happened. He doesn't know obviously what happened at the wake, but I was glad to see Jeremiah just kind of look over, because I took it as kind of him maybe accepting it. So I like how Conrad and Belly are just starting to build back up, but I can't wait for them to build all the way back up because I just want them together so bad. All right, you guys, that is all of my opinions on episode 1, 2, and 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know all of your opinions on the seasons. Just leave the books out because I don't want those spoilers in the comments for me or anyone. But you guys, let me know your comments. Are you team Jeremiah or team Conrad? I want to know. I feel like it's kind of 50-50. I don't really hear one more than the other. Maybe a little bit more Conrad, but I think it's maybe like 52-50. Maybe Conrad's just a little more that I hear more about, or maybe I just look at Conrad edits more to see like people talk about him more. I don't know. So let me know which team you're on, and let me know all of your opinions on the 3 episodes. And I probably will be doing this for every episode, so stay tuned for that. I might even post like a reaction, like a live raw reaction of me watching one of the episodes, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, I will see and talk to you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good things if you've enjoyed this video, and I will see and talk to you in the next video. Bye!